Welcome back to the Fuel Show and happy holidays to you. Two behind the wheels in today's show. Our second one is going to be VW's GTI, which now comes in a four-door. But our first behind the wheel is one of those vehicles that just makes you go, wow. It's the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited. What does the Unlimited mean? Well, now it comes in a four-door instead of a two-door, and that's the first time Jeep have come in that kind of configuration. Now, Jeep's been around a while, since 1939 in fact. That's when the U.S. Army asked them to form a vehicle which was very durable and could go anywhere over land. Well, almost 70 years later, they're still very durable vehicles. Here's Dennis and Ian to take a first look at the 2007 Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited.
Thanks, Nick. Now, Q Factor is the first score for the Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, and it's not as much of what's inside this vehicle as what builds this vehicle that gives it its Q Factor.
And you're right on that. Now, we'll get to a lot of those items in the performance category of this review, but a couple of notes. Now, for the first time, power windows and power door locks on a Jeep. Now, some might say, blasphemy. No Jeep has power windows, but they still made it so you can take the doors off. Now, for Q Factor...
The four doors.
That's true. For Q Factor, I will give it this. You can still take all the doors off, fold down the windshield, and go just like you're in an open-air Jeep the way they intended it.
Yeah, 3.5 for Q Factor for the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. Curb Appeal's up next for the Rubicon Unlimited, and it's got a great look. It's kind of a classic interpretation of what a Jeep is supposed to look like.
And I think that's what they were going for. They did do a couple items that I think are a little bit strange. One is it's almost H3-ish in the back with the hard top. Notwithstanding is just because, well, it's a big box. And they went with that classic grille just a few years ago with the round headlights. As people say, a real Jeep has round headlights. But they kind of tilted the grille back a little bit. And I don't know if that did anything for me, but I think it made it look a little too modern.
Yeah, a little too modern, but it still has that 7-slot grille with the round headlights. It's a good look overall. 3.75 for Curb Appeal. Next up is performance for the Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon. And when you're talking about a Jeep and you're talking about performance, this is it. It's got the whole package.
Yes, it does, and no, it doesn't. The thing about it is it performs great both on and off the road. The length of the wheelbase really helps with porpoising and the way that it tracks on street performance. And then you go to the off-road, well, that's a given. I mean, you put the type of material that's in a Rubicon, Dana axles, air lockers, all the transmission upgrades that they've gone in the automatic transmission, but there's one thing that's wrong. It's a V6. They put a V6 in a Jeep Wrangler. It's supposed to have a straight 6. Now, it doesn't have as much torque as the old motor, but it does it at a peak torque rating of 4,000 RPMs. That's too high. Though it performs well, they need to go back to a straight 6.
Although it does still perform well, 4.25 for performance. Then finishes up next for the Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, and when you're talking about a Jeep, you're talking about raw, but it's still put together well.
You're talking about basic materials. I mean, you can't really fault it for fit and finish because there's a lot of rough edges around it. I mean, come on. It's a Jeep that's designed to have the carpets pulled up so you can hose the mud out of it. So on this score, take it with a grain of salt. It's a little lower than it could be if it was, say, an Acura or a Lexus or something like that. But as far as how well it's built, it's right there.
Yeah, for a Jeep owner, somebody that's had a Jeep in the past, exactly what you expect it to be. 3.5 for fit and finish. Drivability is the final score for the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon, and, well, you take a Wrangler, you add a couple extra doors, you lengthen it, you make it more usable on the street. It's got to bump that drivability score.
And more importantly, the way it performs off the road. All the things that this Jeep can do are really what makes it special. Now, the test vehicle that we had was actually a Jeep that was airlifted into the Rubicon Trail, and with nothing more than a tire switch, did the entire trail. Then I got it, and I took it up to Timberline. Never put it in four-wheel drive. Then I took it to Brown's Camp, a trail right here in the Pacific Northwest. And needless to say, it took about $30 in quarters to get all the mud off of it, and I never got stuck.
4 in drivability for the Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Rubicon.
Let's see how Dennis and Ian scored the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon Unlimited.
For Q Factor, a 3.5. In Curb Appeal, they gave it a 3.75. For performance, a 4.25. And in fit and finish, a 3.5. Finally, in drivability, a 4.0. The total for the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon is 19 out of a possible 25.
Still to come, we're going to be in the pits, and when fuel returns, we'll take a look at our second behind the wheel. It's the 2007 VW GTI, now in a 4-door.